Teddy, who was more impressive, would you say Wilder or Fury in last weekend's fight?
Fury. I think to a certain extent, if we're going to be honest here, right, and we're supposed to be, Wilder was exposed. You know, he's a guy that he can punch like heck. You know, I always say on ESPN that punches are born, they're not made. He was born to punch. He's got the power in the right hand. There's no two ways. He's long, he's big, and he's got a heart. But as far as technique, pretty bad. You know, I mean, it's the kind of fight where the referee, if you're the referee, you might want to take insurance out before the fight because you might get hit. I mean, he's going from left field, from right field. He's falling off balance. His right foot's going in front of his left foot. I mean, his technique, there's no way to say it. I know a lot of people won't say it because they want to be friends with everybody. I get it. But if you're going to put me in that position and talk about expertise on something I'm supposed to be talking about, well, then let's call it the way it is. He got exposed in a lot of areas except for one, that he's got that great eraser. And that great eraser can show itself at any time, well, and it did.
I agree with you, and I said as much, and I think Max did as well, but I would ask you this question. Do you think it's something that can be rectified for him to have dominion and dominance over the heavyweight division, or do you think the inevitability of him falling to the likes of somebody like an Anthony Joshua is imminent because of those lack of skill?
I answer it in two ways. First of all, if he hasn't learned by now, he's not learning. Okay, let's be really straight about that. He's been a pro for 5 years, whatever, 6 years, whatever it is. He hasn't learned now. You know, it's not like they're waiting for some special, you know, day to debut these great skills and to show you that he's technically become really solid. If they were waiting, you'd have to say, well, what are you waiting for? I mean, it should have been done by now. So if they haven't done it by now, if they haven't shown that he can show that level of expertise from a technical standpoint now, no, it's not coming. But
Teddy.
But the other part to Stephen's question is, as long as he's got that power, you know what?
He got a chance.
He's got a chance. I mean, you could see him being arrogant in a certain way and saying, hey, you know, I don't need to throw a jab straight. I don't need to keep my feet right. I don't need to move my head when a punch comes. I got this. So you can see a little bit because so far it's worked for him. Go ahead, Max.
Teddy, I remember something you once told me. We were watching fights at the late, great Jack Newfield's house, who was a celebrated journalist in the second half of the 20th century in this country, kids, if you didn't know. And you made a comment. We were watching old fight films, and you made a comment about Rocky Marciano that always stuck with me. Great fighters, because people would criticize his technique in certain ways, like Wilder. He was built up against tomato cans before he fought good fighters, and they criticized his defense. And you said, all great fighters know how to do two things, how to land their punches and avoid a certain number of the punches coming toward them. And when I look at Wilder, of course, technically all those things are true. Meantime, he has his own way of avoiding enough punches and landing his own that so far he's undefeated, and he's fought Ortiz and he's fought Fury. So does he really need to tighten those things, or has he developed his own style that works?
You know what? That's a fair point. But I'm going to hit that point with one thing, the level of opponents. His level, and you touched on it with Rocky, you know, that all the champions, all the heavyweight champions, all the division champions, they all have a resume of guys who are questionable on the way up. There's no doubt about it. And then you fight the better guys. And Marciano fought a lot of good guys. People would say they were old and this. Joe Walcott was great when he was old.
Late in his career.
Yeah, he was great late in his career. Ezra Charles, one of the great fighters of all time. So, yeah, you know, Marciano beat a lot of good fighters. Wilder has never fought that level, the level I just talked about from that era. Wilder's never fought that level. Part of his success has been that they picked the opponents pretty well. Ortiz was the best guy, and, you know, he got rid of him with the power, and he was losing that fight. So part of that, part of him hiding from the lack of technique or being able to overcome the lack of technique hasn't really been because of some special instincts that you talk about, awkward cleverness, and I get it. Marciano was real good where he'd start one hand, bang, and he'd throw the other hand. Little tricks, little genius things that he did to be the great fighter that he was and to pull the fight out of the fire when he had to. The one thing about Wilder, I haven't really seen those things. Again, I give his credit to the opponents or the lack of opponents that he's faced, and also to his heart. That he's never out of it. He knows he has the power, and he will step up the tempo when he has to.
Teddy, I want to transition to a fight that's taking place on our network. tomorrow night with Lomachenko versus Pedraza. I think about Lomachenko, and I want to throw this at both you and Max. Lomachenko is almost depressing. This guy's phenomenal. The footwork, the hand speed, he's just on another level. It would be nice to see him knock people out, except for the vast majority of his fights lately, they've literally quit. I mean, they've literally quit. And it's not like they wobbled and staggered to the bench or whatever. I've seen guys that obviously they looked like they were going to get knocked out. They looked like they were going to get beat up. But they literally walked over to their stool with all their faculties in order and basically said, I can't beat this guy. This guy looks that phenomenal. Talk to me about how good Lomachenko is and what is it about him that's literally making guys quit? Not his last fight because it's a body shot, but about 3 fights before that, last 3 fights before that. It's making guys quit. Talk to me about that.
Not only making guys quit, and you're right, you're 1,000% right, making good guys quit, make undefeated guys quit, make world champions quit, make gold medalists quit, like Rigan Diao.
Yep.
And, you know, what it is that, first of all, what he does is he takes people's souls. Yeah, I'll say it again. He takes men's souls. He makes fighters do something that is not permissible. Something that when you put the gloves on when you're a kid and you start, you're never supposed to do. He makes them say no mas. He makes them submit. As you said, he makes them quit. You're not supposed to do that as a fighter. You're supposed to go down on your shield. Now, I get a lot of people going to argue, hey, Teddy, you know, but he could get hurt. I get it. But I'm just talking about the pure definition of a fighter. When you get in that ring, yeah, you're supposed to be a warrior, go out on your shield. He makes people do what they say they would never do. And the way he does it, well, he takes their hope away.